Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back. Today I'm going to be breaking down this classic and beautiful and glowing bridal makeup look. I love this look. This is just so effortlessly glam. I feel so beautiful in this, and I'm going to break it down for you step by step. I'm going to share all of my tips and tricks. I'm going to break down every part of the face and show you how you can achieve this at home. If you're doing your makeup yourself, I know that you can do this with all of the tips and tricks that I share with you today. And if you're a working makeup artist, maybe you can get some inspo from this for your clients. So yeah, I hope you guys like this video. Please subscribe and let's just jump right in. Okay, so I'm gonna start by putting my hair back. I love these clips. You can get them on Amazon, and they just kind of clip your hair out of your face, but they're not gonna like kink up your hair or anything. So they just put it out of your face, and then you won't ruin what your stylist just did to your hair. Okay, so the most important thing when you're doing your makeup is priming, because you're gonna have the makeup on all day. You wanna look great in all of your pictures. You wanna make sure you prep your face, your skin, your eyes, your under eyes, everything. You wanna make sure it's prepped really good so that it lasts all day. All of the hard work you've put into doing your makeup, you want it to be able to last. I also recommend maybe carrying a powder with you or someone close to you. Have them carry the powder for you so you can touch up your powder and maybe your lip throughout the day. Maybe some blotting sheets if you get a little oily, but I feel like a lot of my tips and tricks for making your makeup last, you might not need those things as much as you think. Although for my wedding day, I didn't keep my lip on me, and I wish I did because it was gone so fast. What I didn't plan for was how much I was gonna be talking. I pretty much talked the whole day because people would ask me questions or I was socializing, and I just basically ate my lipstick off my face and I didn't keep it on me. So keep that in mind. I would recommend practicing your makeup look as much as you can before your wedding. It can be a year out. I think at least that's what I did. And you can go through different trial and errors, take pictures in different lighting, and you can see what you really like and what you really don't like. You can shade match your foundation. You can see what products break you out or not. You can really nail down the technique and get it to exactly how you want. And if you need anything more in depth, I will post down below in the description box more links to very in-depth videos. I have an eyeshadow video, contour video, liner, false lashes, lips, like everything. So if I don't get as in-depth today, make sure to check those out. But I'm going to try to get as in-depth as possible. Now we can finally get started. One of my favorite primers is the Lawless Set the Stage Hydrating Soothing Primer Serum. I really love this. It just feels like skincare and it's very lightweight. I have normal to oily skin, so priming is pretty important for me, especially around this time of year. And I got married July 16th. So it was humid, and I don't think I used this primer. I used a different primer, but this one has been working just as good as the other primers that I love. Fun fact, for my wedding day, I didn't wear foundation. I was going through like a no foundation phase, and I really loved the way that my face looked. So that's something too. If you're not into wearing foundation, you do not have to. You can always just spot conceal. Like for instance, today I have this, I'm pretty sure it's a heat rash. It just came out of nowhere. And it's been here for like a week and it won't go away. But you can just spot conceal this area and blend it in. The only trick there is making sure that your concealer or whatever you're using to spot conceal matches your skin perfectly, because you don't then want like a beige stripe across your neck, you know what I mean? So anyway, I recommend really playing around with different foundations to see what you like the best and what's gonna last the best, what works for your skin if you are gonna be wearing foundation. Today, what do I wanna wear? I'm gonna be using the Laura Mercier Flawless Lumiere Radiance Perfecting Foundation. I have this in the shade Macadamia. This has just been one of my favorite foundations recently. I think it's so beautiful on the skin, and I go through different phases. This to me gives like a pretty medium coverage. It gives a little bit of luminosity to the skin, and it still lets your skin show through without being like too sheer. I feel like it's the perfect mid-ground if you want something more sheer. Another one I really love is the Pat McGrath Skin Fetish Sublime Perfection Foundation. This is basically like a tinted moisturizer, but better. I just love this. So if you want something more sheer, I recommend this. This gives more medium coverage. I'm gonna pump this on the back of my hand. I recommend doing this instead of just putting it on the face or putting it on your brush or putting it on your sponge, because then you can have more control over where you're applying it on the skin, how much product you're using. You don't wanna go just overboard with product. If anything, use less than you think, because as you build up and do your makeup, you're gonna be applying way more product. And if you apply too much all at once, it's gonna be really hard to take away. And that's how you can end up looking too made up, quote unquote, or just like cakey, you know, especially during like the summer. And the reason why I say that is because a lot of us get married spring to fall, and I feel like that time of year is just the hottest. So I'm going to be going into the Sigma X Brianna Fox brush. This is the Fox 4 brush. This is a foundation brush that I created with Sigma. I love it. What I like to do is just fluff it out, and then I'm going to pick up the product on the back of my hand just like this, work it into the brush, and then just start stippling it on my face. So if you do patting motions like this, it's going to go on more dense and a lot more product in that area. But if you start just like blending it around in circles, it will go on more sheer. Also, with your brushes, the more you hold up closer to your bristles, the more intense the product will go on and the more dense. But if you hold back here, the more lightweight the product goes on and applies, and it goes on a little bit more sheer. I also recommend when you're doing your makeup on your wedding day, give yourself probably double the time that you think that you need. I gave myself, I think, 3 hours to do my makeup, and people had questions, needed me for things, and also I was nervous. So it took me way longer to do my makeup, and by the end, I felt like I was rushing. So if I were you, I would do your makeup or give yourself way more time than you think, because you just never know what's gonna happen on the day of. And even though nothing happened, like nothing was crazy that happened on my wedding day that was like, oh my gosh, crisis, whatever. No, nothing like that. It's just like, hey, where can we hang this dress? Hey, can we put this here? Hey, where did you put this? So it's just a lot of commotion just in general. So just keep that in mind. Give yourself way more time than you think that you need, because you just never know. And then I always bring it down my neck. I'm actually gonna end up bringing product all the way down my chest. I'm gonna show you that, because if you're wearing, I would wait until you get your wedding dress on, because if this area is exposed, you don't want it to be blah in comparison to what's going on the face. So I would recommend doing just a little bit of contouring and highlighting down on your chest. And if you have any breakouts or anything, you can cover those up as well. But I would not neglect the neck and chest, because then it's going to be like a stark difference between the face. Or, I mean, I guess it just depends on how natural or how dramatic your makeup is on your face. But I do think that even with a natural look, it can look a lot more cohesive. Here, I'm going to really pat the product on. Okay, so I've got the foundation on. If you have some blemishes that need some fuller coverage, don't worry, you can cover them up with concealer. So right now you can still see all of these blemishes. You can see this one here. I'm gonna go over that with my concealer. I forgot to use this when I was priming, because this is a newer product for me, but I've been really liking it. And I think that if you have some aging under the eyes, or you find that your makeup tends to just like crease in the under eyes or settle into the fine lines, you're really gonna like this product. I don't think that it's necessarily necessary, but if that's like a problem area for you or something that you just don't like, check this out. This is the Jaclyn Cosmetics Hydrating Under Eye Primer. Ideally, you would apply this when you applied your face primer, but I forgot. That's okay. So it is really cold when you apply it because of the applicator here. So again, make sure you try everything like far in advance before your wedding, because you don't want to be caught off guard. Because the first time I used this, my eyes started watering because it was so cold. So I'm going to pick this up on my finger. I'm going to use this much for probably both of my eyes. I'm gonna dot this here and just blend this under the eyes. And I don't know how it works, but I swear it just makes the concealer really glide on really nicely. I don't necessarily see anything with like longevity just because like my concealer never really moves, but I find that it just really helps with the way that my concealer applies under my eyes, and then also it kind of just stays fresh looking, like none of the powder settles or anything, and that's where I'm starting to see some aging happening, and it really helps just to smooth out that area. So for my concealer, I'm going to be going into the Catrice True Skin High Coverage Concealer. This has hyaluronic acid in it, and it's waterproof. The color I have is warm beige. This is basically a dupe for the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. I like this too because of the wand. It's this like flat paddle shape. So I'm just gonna go in and conceal under my eyes. Just bring this here and then bring it wherever I have any extra areas that need some coverage. Okay. And then you can use whatever you want to blend in your concealer. You can use a brush, a sponge, whatever you want. I'm going to be using a beauty blender. Make sure you wet this underneath the water in your sink and really like get the water in there, squeeze it through, and then once it doubles in size, then dry it off and squeeze out any excess product, and then it should be like light and fluffy like this. So there shouldn't be any extra water. So I'm going to go in and just blend out all of this concealer. Anytime you work on your under eye area, you want to make sure that you are basically looking straight and then take your eyes and look up. You don't want to move your chin up or anything. Keep it down and look up with your eyes, and then you can really get in there in your under eye area without like blinking and like messing up your makeup. If I look straight into my mirror right now and go at it with this, I'm going to be squinting like this. That's going to cause more wrinkles and creases and things like that. So keep your face straight, chin down, basically, eyes up, and then you can just go on in there and it's not gonna bother you. It's not gonna make your eyes water. Also, if you wanna do your eyes first, you can. I think that's just preference. There's no right or wrong way to do your makeup, so just play around with it and see what you like best. Do down here. Well, that worked out. Right now I'm just adding a little bit more. Again, you wanna make sure that you go in with less than you think that you need, because you can always add more. You don't want to put too much on and then be like, crap, what do I do with all of this product? So now I'm going to go into some cream bronzer. I'm going to show you two of my favorites. The one I'm using today is the Bondi Bay cream contour and bronzer from Nude Sticks. I really like this. I'm basically like almost out of it. This gives a little bit more of a warmer look to the skin. Another one that I really like is this one from Charlotte Tilbury. It's the Hollywood Contour Wand. This is in light medium. This comes out really, really fast. I might actually end up using this on my jawline in a little bit, just because I like this because it gives some warmth to the skin. And I think that when you're playing around with your makeup before your wedding day, play around and see if you like cream products. Do you like powder products? Do you like a mixture of the two? I personally like to use a mixture of the two. I like to go with a light hand with different layers of products, and it just gives so much dimension to the skin and to the eyes and everything. So play around and see what works best for you. What I'm showing you today might not be your vibe, and at least you know that then going forward for your wedding day that you don't like that. So again, it's really good to go and play around with different products and different looks ahead of time. I'm going to take a Smith 157 brush. This is angled, and the bronzer. I'm going to pick it up on the brush, and I'm going to start bronzing and contouring with this. I will link my recent highlighting and contour video right up here, but I'm just going to stipple this right on this cheekbone. It's gonna give us some warmth, and you can see I'm holding closer to those bristles because I do want this to be more pigmented. Then you can always go back into that beauty blender and diffuse the edges. And I also like to pick it up on the brush and then apply it to the skin, as opposed to drawing this on the skin and making like stripes on the face, because that's going to be so much more difficult to blend out your product, and it's going to dry on the skin. So then you're going to be like rubbing your face like crazy if it dries down. So if you've tried that and you're not a fan, try just picking it up like this, because it usually applies a lot lighter and then you can kind of play with it and add more if you need to, and it's just easier to blend in general. I went down a little too far here, but that's okay. We'll end up cleaning that up with some powder in a little bit. I'm gonna pick this up and do around the forehead. I just got my hair done. I'm so excited. So I'm gonna be very careful not to get this in my freshly bleached hair. That is the only downside of being so blonde right at your root. Get the jawline. And then make sure that it's blended really nicely. A good rule of thumb is to do this and make sure that you don't got any harsh lines or anything. Also, get behind the ear. If you are gonna have your hair up on your wedding day, I recommend even bringing this around your neck. If your hair's up, you know, bring it back here. Have a friend help you. You know, you wanna make sure that there isn't like a line or like a big difference between the back and the front, you know? So if your hair is down, it's not as big of a deal, but just keep that in mind. I'm also gonna bring this on my collarbones so that they pop. I'm going right underneath and then right here in this shadow. It really helps them to pop. You just wanna be very careful because if you're wearing a white dress or just white in general, it will rub off on it. You just wanna be careful. Okay, then I'm gonna go into one of my favorite cream blushes. This is the e.l.f. Putty Blush in Turks and Caicos. Looks like this. It's like a pinky peachy color. I will be going in with a powder blush eventually, but this just gives such a nice base, and I feel like it helps my blush to last. Blush is one of those things that just poof, disappears within like an hour. So I always apply more than I think that I need, but also layering a cream with a powder really helps that longevity. So I'm gonna be using my Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Complexion brush. I'm gonna pick it up here the same way that we did the cream bronzer. I'm gonna smile and just start applying this on my cheeks. And I'm just stippling this on. I really like this brush because it's so tiny. I can be very strategic with where I place this blush. And it doesn't go too broad of an area, but I can just work around and put it just exactly where I need it. And go in with my beauty blender and diffuse the edges. I also bring a little on the forehead. I'll bring some down on the neck just to make everything look very cohesive. e.l.f. also has some putty bronzers too. Check them out, they're great. Okay, I think that it is time for powder. So I'm gonna go in with the Laura Mercier Translucent Setting Powder. This is my favorite. It helps keep my oil at bay, and it also just helps everything to just set and look seamless and gorgeous. So I'm gonna pick this up on my beauty blender, just like that. And then I take the cap and kind of like get the excess off. And then I'm gonna set underneath the eyes, so that's kind of just like the bow on the gift, just locks that in place. You've got your primer, then the product, and then the powder, and it just sets it so that it helps with any creasing. You want to go this way and then backwards. So all of that is set. I'm going on the sides of my nose, the top of my nose, in between my eyebrows. I get so oily on my eyebrows, so I'm actually putting the powder in here first before we go in with product, just to help absorb any oil, get the chin. And then this is not necessary, but because I went too far down with my bronzer, I'm gonna bring this here just to help clean that up a little bit. I don't want to let this sit here too long though, because otherwise it's going to brighten it too, and I don't want it to be too bright. If that happens though, you can always fix it with a little bit of bronzer. So now I'm going to take a Fox 5 brush from my brush set and just dust that away. I'm starting here because I don't want that to be too bright. And then dust everything else away. I'm going to go into a little bit of powder bronzer to really warm up the skin. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush bronzer, and I'm going to use the Charlotte Tilbury bronzer brush and just add that depth and dimension to the skin. Again, like, it's not necessary. This is just like a me thing. I like using creams and powders together. And this I'm just feathering on. That gave exactly what I needed already to the cheeks. You don't have to go crazy with it. I'm also gonna bring this under here because that did brighten that and I don't like that. Next, to set the blush, I'm gonna go into Peaches from MAC, this shade right here. It's basically the same color as the e.l.f. cream blush, but it is powder, and I think that this is just like the perfect combo to make sure your blush stays. So I'm just going to pop this right on top, just locks it in and then intensifies that color. And you can bring it everywhere if you want, just lightly, especially if you're sunburned. I got sunburned a week before my wedding. The week before it was 4th of July and I got a good old burn. And my back was peeling. I had to self-tan. I wanted to be more tan than red. And that was tricky. But yeah, I brought more blush everywhere else just to like tie it in all together because I didn't get burnt on my face. Okay, and now, oh, I totally forgot to contour my nose. My favorite product to contour my nose is the NYX Three Steps to Sculpt palette, and I use the darker shade. This is just my favorite. I'm gonna quickly run through and do that just really quick, just because everybody's nose contour is so different, and if you want a full tutorial on how I do it, make sure to check out that contour video. So now for highlighter, I'm gonna be going into the Becca Champagne Pop highlighter. You can still get this via Smashbox. I love this because it's very peachy. I feel like, well, and champagne-y. I feel like this is very flattering for a lot of different skin tones. I can wear this when I'm very fair and when I'm very tan. It just complements my skin very nicely. So it is very intense though. So if you don't want such an intense highlighter, just go in with a very light hand. So I'm gonna pick it up right here on the tip of the brush and just holding pretty far back on my brush, and then I'm just gonna rock it back and forth to apply the brightness and carry it into the brow. I'm not putting it too far in because that will make me look even more oily. I'm gonna use my finger and just pop it on the nose, right in the center. I'm gonna pop it here on the Cupid's bow, and then use the brush to blend it out. I'm also gonna bring this on my collarbones. This will really help them to pop. You should also grab like a really good body oil. I love that one from, I don't know if it's Osea, it's probably OC. That I already put it on and it just looks really just like glowy and radiant, especially outside. Now I'm gonna set the face before I go and move on to the eyes. I'm gonna be using the Morphe Continuing Setting Mist and spray that all over. Onto the eyes. So I'm gonna start with my eyebrows. I'm gonna zoom through this really quickly. Eyebrows are very personal and I have a hard time doing my eyebrows. So I'm gonna just quickly tell you what I'm using, quickly show you what they look like. Nothing too crazy. So I'm gonna go into the Anastasia Brow Freeze Brow Wax. I've been really loving this. Just push them up. I'm gonna go into the Precisely My Brow Pencil from Benefit in shade 3. Just start filling them in. Okay, my brows are done for now. I might go back and mess with them once the rest of my makeup's on, but I had some difficulties, but here we are. Okay, now we can finally move on to the eyes. So I highly recommend going in with an eye primer. For you, that can be a concealer, it could be a separate primer, whatever it is, find something that works best for you. My personal favorite is the Painterly Paint Pot from MAC. It's technically not a primer, it's just like a cream pot, but it dries down really nicely. It's just this light cream. They have soft ochre, which is more yellow. They have a bunch of other shades, so depending on your skin tone, you can find one that works best for you. It doesn't need to match exactly, it just needs to be in the same range. So I like to go in with my finger. If you have nails, just go in with a brush and pop it on your eyes. I'm not closing my eyes. I am just looking downwards into my mirror. And that is a trend that you are going to see with the eyeshadow. You want to make sure that you're always looking down into your mirror. If you need to like put your chin up to do it so you can really see the lid space, then you can do that. But You don't want to close your eyes when you're applying it because look, that creates like wrinkles and then you can't see because your eye is shut. So always just put your chin up and look down like this, because then you can access that area, you can see what you're doing, and it won't irritate your eyes. But again, it's the opposite if you're working on anything underneath the eye. You want to look up. So that's on. I'm just going to set it lightly with a little bit of powder and we will be ready to go. So I will be using my single MAC eyeshadows today to create this look. I've been getting so many requests to use MAC single eyeshadows, so that's what we're doing today. If you want a different bridal look with like a different color palette or something, and you don't want me to use MAC singles, because I get like it's tricky to find the ones that are going to work best for you, but I do feel that when I use single shadows, then you can pick and choose what's going to specifically work the best for your skin tone, because MAC has such a wide range of shades, so you don't have to use exactly these shades that I'm using. You can use maybe something a little bit more red or a little bit more cool toned if you like more cool toned shades. I'm going to stick pretty neutral today, just to keep it pretty universal, but yeah, keep that in mind when you're doing your makeup. So we're gonna start light to dark, same thing like you do with the face. Basically what you want to do is just build up slowly to the pigmentation that you prefer. So I'm so excited. I'm gonna start off with Soft Brown from MAC. This is such a classic shade. This is gonna be beautiful in the crease. I'm just gonna take a large fluffy brush and pick it up on the brush, tap off the excess, look downwards into my mirror, and I'm gonna start out here on the outer corner. I'm holding midway to like almost like down here on the brush because I don't want to apply too much of this pigment. Starting out here, and you don't want to put too much product right in here, at least at first. Even if you're going to be doing like a crazy dramatic smoky eye, you don't want to apply too much right in here right away, because if it ends up being too much, it's going to be impossible to take it away. So always work light to dark and work outwards to inwards. So starting out here, doing little circles, and then lightly pushing it in once a lot of the product is off of the brush. Little circles, and then lightly bring it inwards. And then I'm just going to keep building up this shade little by little. I'm going to work on the bottom lash line. I'm going to grab a mirror in my hand and I'm going to position it right up here. You can't really see, but it's like right up here. I'm going to put my chin down and look upwards into it. Or if you don't need a mirror, you can just go for it like this. But if you do, look up into it so then you can see what you're doing, or just go for it. And see, I'm like not squinting. It's not bothering me. You have free range to blink as much as you want, but you should be able to just get in there, fluff it out, give that little shadow, and it shouldn't make your eyes water. You shouldn't be like squinting, because if you just go like this, you're gonna end up squinting because something is coming at your eyeball. But this way, it's just more effortless and seamless, and you can get the job done. And then you won't ruin your makeup by crying, because anytime I've done that, if I poke my eye, my eyes will water. I have a secret ingredient that I think really brings everything together. I'll probably go back into this later, but I'm gonna use the powder blush that we used on our face. This, no matter what look you're doing, it's going to be so flattering and just bring it all together and make it look very cohesive. So this is Peaches. It's like the perfect warm peachy color. And I'm lightly going to bring this in the crease. I'm gonna keep my blush just out and ready, because at any time, if I feel like I need to add a little bit of that back in, I can always go in and grab it, and it helps. I'm gonna switch to a smaller brush, and I'm gonna grab Saddle from MAC. This is very warm, almost like a, cognac? Is that how you say it? Just like a really warm, rich brown. And I'm gonna grab this on a Smith 247, tap off the excess, and I'm gonna start just packing this on the outer lid. What I mean by packing is I'm just pressing it in on the skin. I'm not buffing it around too much because this is very pigmented and darker than everything else, so I don't want to go and just start like blending this all over the place, because then we're gonna have just a mess. And I'm working just a little bit at a time. Small amounts on my brush, small areas on the eye because you don't want to go just overboard. You can always add more, but you can't take away. Well, you can't. It just takes a long time. Things are happening. It's looking good. Now I'm going to go into one of my favorite shades. This is MAC Embark. It's a really, really rich, chocolatey brown. It's so beautiful, and we're going to use this basically as our liner. So I think what's so beautiful, especially for a bridal look, is just a soft wing, but smoked out, because then it just looks like effortless, but you can always smoke it up and make it smokier and more dramatic. So you can really customize your look with this, but also it's easier to apply. It's not as intimidating as like a liquid liner or like a traditional just like black wing liner, something like that. It's easy to take away if you mess up. It's just way more user friendly, and to me it just looks just so bridal and so beautiful. I'm going to use a Sigma Precise lip liner. It's the L06. I know, a very random brush. It's technically for your lips, but basically it's just a teeny tiny little squared off brush that I think is perfect for applying wing liner shadow situations. So I'm going to pick it up on both sides of the brush, really tap off the excess. Okay, you want to follow the line of the edge of your nose to the corner of your eye. And you want to follow the lower lash line and not the upper, because if you follow the upper, where that stops, I know it's like the tiniest difference, but then it's going to be too high up and it's going to go, it's just going to be too high up. So follow the line of the lower lash line, and then when you use that as your guideline, they should be even. So I'm going to go right here by the lower lash line and just start winging it. Just make a little line like so. And I'm stopping it right at the lash line, right where my lashes meet my skin, where my iris is. And I'm looking downwards so I can see everything I'm doing without bothering my eyes. And I'm going to fill that in. Now we can kind of extend it a little bit. Okay. And now I'm going to switch back into Saddle, which was the last darkest shade before we went into Embark. And I'm going to use this to help diffuse this and smoke it into the look. So I'm using the same liner brush. I'm going right at the edge just to diffuse this liner. Cool, you didn't see anything I just did because I put the mirror there. I just put it right on the top here, just to diffuse. Okay, I'm gonna start working on the bottom lash line a little bit more. So I'm gonna grab a little bit more soft brown and really start working this on the lower lash line a little bit more and start intensifying that color. This was the first initial shade that we used. I'm gonna go into a Fox 3 brush from my brush set, and I'm gonna go into Saddle, the warmer brown shade. And I'm gonna pick that up right on the tip of this brush. I'm gonna look upwards into my mirror, put that right where the lashes meet the skin. Make sure it connects to that outer wing. I'm gonna clean off this brush and go back into soft brown. And I'm gonna use that to go basically right over that line so we don't have a straight up line. It's gonna help diffuse it. So I'm going directly over top and then starting to like buff it down. And it just kind of helps that to fade a little bit more. It's time for my favorite part. So I'm gonna go into Nylon from MAC first. This is a very frosty yellow based highlighter. So I'm gonna first put this, this is a MAC 239 brush. I'm gonna put this right in the inner corner of the eyes. Then I'm gonna put it right up on the brow bone. That will really lift the eye. And it looks really frosty, a little crazy. I'm gonna dust off the brush, and I'm lightly going to just kind of feather this around, almost feather it downwards into the look. And then go back in with one of the fluffy brushes, almost blend it in to the highlight, and you'll have just like this nice gradual natural fade. I'm also gonna take this nylon and start kind of like patting it on the lid just a little bit so that this starts to blend out a little bit more. It's really gonna brighten up the eyes. I'm going in with a very light hand because I don't want this to be like too crazy frosty. Just lightly start feathering it in once a lot of the product is off. So it shouldn't be like too white all the way across. It should just be like brightness and just brightening up the lid. And now for the star of the show. This is the Bobbi Brown Moonstone highlighter, or not highlighter, eyeshadow. It's their Luxe Eyeshadow Sparkle. I borrowed this from Amanda. I saw this and was like, this is the actual perfect thing for a bridal look or special event look. It's just, it's perfect. It's perfect. So I'm going to use my finger. I'm going to pick it up right here in the product and look at it on my finger here. It is just so sparkly, but like champagne-y and delicious. So I'm going to come at it sideways like this. I'm going to look downwards into my mirror and just start pushing this on the lid, right on the inner part. This to me just totally makes the look. I swear, it's just so beautiful. I love it. I used something kind of similar on my wedding day. I did kind of something that was like this sort of a base underneath, and then on top I topped it with this color in this Pat McGrath palette. This is the, what is the name of this? Venus in Fleurs Luxe Eyeshadow Quad. I can't pick it up because the shadows are kind of like loose in the pan, but I took this one. It has like this pinky reflect, but it kind of goes gold too. Might actually add this in, but because this has more of that like rose to it, and so I added that in on my wedding day just to give like a little bit of a rose sparkle. Maybe I'll add that in here too just to see what that does. Ooh, that's pretty too. It just gave a little kiss, but I think you don't need both. Just pick either or. I'm just kind of having fun right now. I'm going back in with a little bit of saddle just to kind of re-emphasize this like smoky liner situation. And then in the waterline, this is going to be up to you what you want to do. If you want this to be more smoky, more dramatic, go in with like a rich chocolate brown. I suggest MAC Costa Riche. That is like my favorite brown eyeliner because it has like a red purple undertone, but don't worry, it won't make you look like you have like red in your waterline. It's just stunning. So if you want something more sultry and smoky, go in with something like that. If you like it just as is, leave it just as is. But if you want to brighten, which I always prefer to do, go in with like a nude, something close to your skin tone to brighten it up. So this is the Anastasia Pro Pencil in base number 1. She has a few different shades. It's actually designed to like clean up your eyebrows. I'm going to use it in my waterline. So I'm going to look down and look, I'm going to put my chin down and look up into my mirror and just rock this right in the waterline. Take breaks and blink whenever you need to, so that you don't tear up and ruin your makeup. But do you see how that just like really opened up the eye, brought more attention to the eye, and just more attention to the look in general? Do this side. I'm also popping a little bit of Champagne Pop from Becca, what I used on my face, right to the outer corners. I feel like that really popped it even more. So I did that. I'm gonna bring a little bit up here as well. I feel like you could probably just use this in place of nylon. It's just got that something. I'm gonna go into the L'Oreal Lash Paradise mascara. For my eyelashes, I'm gonna go into the Second Nature lashes from Velour. They look like this. If you want a full tutorial on how I apply my false lashes, look right up here in the info card. I will link to that video. Applying lashes can be pretty tricky, so make sure you're practicing this far enough in advance. If you feel like wearing false lashes, you don't have to. But another thing you could do is applying lashes on yourself is a lot more complicated than applying them on someone else. So if you are doing your makeup yourself, and if you have a friend around, a mom, anybody, just maybe ask them to do it or practice with them, because it is just so much easier to have someone else do it. The trick is to really let the glue get tacky on the lash before applying it. But yeah, make sure to check out that more in-depth video so you can get more tips and tricks. But I think that that's like the ultimate trick, is just to have someone else do it for you. Lashes are on, everything is done except for our lips. So I think if you're looking for a very just works for everyone or almost everyone type of lip combo, I would head over to Charlotte Tilbury, do a Pillow Talk lipstick combo. This is a like rosy nude kind of a color, and they have different versions of this for different skin tones. So that to me is just very like foolproof. I'm gonna play with a couple other things just to give you another option, but if you want like an easy peasy lemon squeezy lip combo, they've got a lip liner and a lipstick. Perfect rosy pinky nude. I'm gonna make it difficult and play around with a few different things, because I just love, lips are like my favorite thing to do. I feel like it just ties everything together. This whole look is not complete unless I have the perfect lip combo on. So to start off, I've been really loving the Pat McGrath Contour Lip Pencil. This reminds me so much of the KKW Beauty Nude 1.5 lip pencil, but that brand is just like no longer, or at least like the lip pencils are completely gone. So this to me reminds me so much of it. Unfortunately, this is like triple the price, but it is really, really good. Pat McGrath is just amazing. I'm gonna line my lips, overline them, and then blend them in with my finger. If you want a full in-depth tutorial on how I fill in my lips, make them look more plump, overline them, all of that kind of stuff. I even fix like an uneven lip shape on my lips. Check out my video down below or up in the info card. I break it down step by step, just the same way that I do in any other how-to tutorial video, and make it a lot easier, and hopefully it's helpful for you for applying lip liner. So I'm gonna apply this all over my lips, and this color, the more you build it up, the cooler toned it gets. So now I'm gonna add a little bit of pinkiness to this. I'm gonna go into MAC Edge to Edge lip pencil. You don't have to use a lip pencil, you can use a lipstick, it's totally up to you. I'm gonna just feather this into the lip just to add a little bit of rosiness. And then I'm gonna top that whole lip combo off with MAC Honey Love. This is a beautiful light nude color. I'm gonna bring this all over my lips. It does give a matte finish. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of gloss. Lately, I've just been alternating between these two with this combo, and I think it looks really pretty. I've got the Dior Glow Maximizer, and then I have Just Friends from Too Faced. They're both very beautiful. This will give more of like a pinky color, where this is a little bit more clear. So I'm gonna go with this one. Okay, last but not least, I'm just gonna set my face one more time. This is the final look. Oh, one last step. Go like this. That way you get the inner rim of your lipstick off, and then it doesn't go on your teeth. But all right, this is the final look. It is so glam. This just screams bridal to me, especially because I'm wearing white and I'm wearing these earrings. These are the earrings that I wore on my wedding day. But I just love how this turned out. I feel so glowy, but not too over the top. I feel like you can easily amp this look up if you wanted to, or you can tone it down. Ways that you can tone it down is not going in with such a glittery lid. You could not do a smoky wing, just whatever works best for you. And I just really encourage you to play around with makeup, have fun with it. Give yourself enough time in advance to try new things and play around with different techniques, different looks. See if you want something smokier, see if you want something a little bit more subdued. And at the end of the day, I just recommend doing something that makes you feel your best. When I was a working makeup artist, I would get brides that would say things like, well, I know I'm supposed to do XYZ. It's your wedding day. You can do whatever you want. You want to make sure that you look like you and however it is that you want to look. So have fun with it. Play around with different looks. If you want to try out some other looks, I have a whole playlist on bridal tutorials. I will link that down below. I'm sure it's up in the info card as well. And if you want something specific, let me know. I would love to try out some different looks. I feel like this is just so classic bridal. I would love to do like a very smoky bridal, maybe a cool tone bridal. I don't know. Let me know what you think. But yeah, if you end up trying this out, please tag me on Instagram, send me your DMs. I would love to see you guys in this look. If I could recommend anything from this video, to like really get this look, like say you don't have any of the things that I used in this video, which is totally fine. This Bobbi Brown eyeshadow, I feel like just stole the show and made this look what it was. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. I hope that my tips and tricks were helpful. Please subscribe and I will see you very soon. Bye.